Hey, before we dive into the video, quickly, thank you so much to my two new Patreon supporters. We got James Hardy and then Damned Thrice coming in with a major premium support. Appreciate that, gentlemen. Welcome. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. I'm excited to be with you today. Hey, today, instead of reviewing a whiskey, what I'm going to be doing actually is giving you a list of bourbons, well, whiskeys rather. Whiskeys that I have purchased. Then I ended up saying, you know what? I regret that. That was not money well spent. You know, that's kind of part of being a bourbon and whiskey enthusiast. Sometimes you place a bet and it doesn't pan out. It's just the reality of it. And that's part of being a consumer in general. A lot of times we have what we call consumer's remorse, buyer's remorse, where we buy something and then we miss the money more than we appreciate what we got for it. So today I'm going to list off some whiskeys that I have purchased that I ended up regretting, and maybe, just maybe, I can save you some cash. So you may actually love some of the things that I list off. That is definitely totally fair. Part of being a bourbon and whiskey enthusiast is having variations in your palate. Your palate is not going to be the same as my palate. And my buddy down the street, he and I have different palates as well. And sometimes we actually swap bottles because of it. So I want to give you a list of things that I wish I had not bought. And I'll tell you why. Now I'm going to start the list with a distillery that, you know, a lot of people really praise. But for me and my palate, I've yet to have anything from them that I've ever thought, you know what, I'm so glad I bought that bottle. I've yet to have a single purchase from their distillery that I thought, you know what, that was well worth the price tag. It's Wilderness Trail. You know, I really want to like Wilderness Trail. I like the story. I like the guys that run the place. I like their bottling, their branding, their whole philosophy. I have no knocks against all that stuff. The only knocks I have is against the product that I consume, and I can tell you, I rarely drink from these bottles and think to myself, that's a good pour. They're just unremarkable. You know, they don't leave a lasting impression. When I think of certain distilleries, sometimes my brain will immediately go to a certain flavor profile that I get out of that distillery, out of that product. And with Wilderness Trail, it's just so blasé. It's beige. They are the beige of distilleries. And I would love for them to prove me wrong. I honestly would, because like I said, in terms of like their whole philosophy, their branding, all of that, I got nothing bad to say. But every bottle I have bought from them has been unremarkable. So, boom. The bottles I bought from Wilderness Trail, I regret those. Next up on the list, one I'm not proud of, because I love Wild Turkey as a distillery. You know, I love 101. I love Rare Breed. The Masters Collection, some of those have been phenomenal. The 12-year, Wild Turkey 12-year 101, so good. But it pains me to say, Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, it's not good. I have almost killed this bottle, and every time I pour it, I think to myself, man, I sure hope this is the pour where it has opened up enough for me to love it. And I never do. I don't even like it. And it pains me to say so because I love Wild Turkey as a distillery. And a lot of their products are staples on my shelf, and I will be happy to keep them on my shelf for a long time and replenish those bottles when I kill them. This, though, it's not one of them. Russell's Reserve, Single Barrel. I regret it. Now, this one also pains me because I adore Bardstown Bourbon Company, Discovery Series, Origin Series, all bangers. And it's like, I gotta have that stuff. It's gotta be on my shelf because I love it so much. Such easy sippers. But the collaborative series is so like hit and miss. And it's like, I would say I'm probably shooting 25% from their collaborative series. So 1 out of every 4 of the collaborative series bottles I buy, I like. 75% of them are not good. And they cost like $150, $170 sometimes. And that really sucks because they built up so much trust for me with these other products that I see the collaborative stuff and I'm like, you know what? They have never let me down. So I buy the collaborative stuff. I hold this one up because it's the only one I currently have on hand. The Foursquare collab was not bad. I thought this was pretty good. But 75% of them are not great and they are very expensive. And I have regretted every single one of them except this one. So, Bardstown Collaborative Series, I regret those. And it hurts me to say so because I love them so much. Gosh dang it. It's like when your lover disappoints you. You know what I mean? You take it personally. You're like, I gave you my heart and my body. And you did me dirty. I regret it. This one, I don't have the bottle to show you because I gave it away. Because a buddy of mine tried it and he was like, you know what, I like that. And I said, you know what, walk away with it. Take it home tonight because it will not get drank here. Heaven Hill, bottled in bond. Great bottling, great distillery. I love Heaven Hill. Elijah Craig, near and dear to my heart. I love Elijah Craig products so much. Well, most of them. More on that in a second. But Heaven Hill bottled in bond is not my jam. I find it to be extremely unremarkable. The things that I love about bourbon, I don't find there. It feels like such a safe play, and it's completely unremarkable, and I fully regret purchasing the bottle, and I cannot recommend it to anyone else. Now, I do have people in my bourbon club who adore this bottle, and for them it's an easy buy every time they see it. Hey, more power to you if you like it. Personally, I don't, because I love a lot of what Elijah Craig brings to the table with those leather, tobacco, rich caramels, and vanillas, and I just don't get much of that at all. It feels very scaled back, very safe with the bottled in bond bottle. Now, after all of that Elijah Craig praise, there is an asterisk. There's one caveat. Elijah Craig, 18-year. Man, what a disappointment. What a disappointment. 18-year Elijah Craig, and they water it down to 90 proof. And I'm over here like, my dude, my brother in Christ, what are you doing? Why would you do such a thing? For your product that people love and have come to associate with great, rich maturation flavors, rich caramels, deep tobaccos, and leathers, and you're gonna water that down after you sat on it for 18 years? But why? Why would you do that? It does not work for me. It absolutely does not work for me. It takes what I love about Elijah Craig and rinses it out of the product. It just dilutes it all the way out of the product. So I have an 18-year-old whiskey that is very watered down for my palate, and I just don't care for it. I regret this one. Next up is an interesting bottle. Interesting, but not good. I like a lot of American single malts, and some of the stuff that they're doing is really cool, and I appreciate a lot of it. I think that Westward is one of my favorites in the single malt, American single malt category. Like, I've got 4 Westward bottles on my shelf, and Westward's like Pinot Noir cask finish is so freaking good. But there are some American single malts that tried something and it just did not work. I spent $100 on this bottle. Westland single cask. This is an American single malt whiskey, and it was finished in Jurançon casks, which is a type of French wine, 7 years old. So, I mean, the price tag is sort of justified when you consider how old the whiskey is, and you consider, obviously, the investment cost of buying Jurançon casks from France and then finishing your whiskey in them. So I don't disagree that the price tag is justified. But I can tell you that for my palate, this was freaking weird, man. An American single malt that basically tastes like it was mixed with like a Riesling, you know, a bubbly white wine of some kind that's just too sweet. And it didn't really work for me. I just thought it was a collision of flavors that don't like to play well. And you're trying to force them to play well. It's like taking the bully at school and the nerd at school, and you put them in a room together and you're like, you will get along and you will play. And then they just kind of don't. They're there together, but they don't mesh. They don't get along. That's this bottle to me. You're shoving 2 flavors into the same bottle, and they are at conflict with one another, and I regretted this purchase because of it. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about isn't necessarily a single bottle. It is more a philosophy. It's a brand that brings something to the table that I just don't vibe with consistently, and that's Nulu. And I don't have a bottle to show you because I have taken Nulu off all of my shelves. You know, I really like to do barrel picks. A lot of clubs and groups and websites and stores will often do Nulu picks. Where they go to Nulu, and Nulu is taking, MGP product, and they're finishing it in various ways, different barrels. And because of that, it's pretty pricey because obviously you have the whiskey itself is trading hands so many times. It's distilled at MGP. It is bought by Nulu, and of course MGP needs to make a profit off of that, so the whiskey is marked up a little bit. They make their profit. Now it's in the hands of Nulu. Nulu is then going to buy barrels and things of the sort so that they can finish it in that. So they need to be able to justify their purchase, so the price then goes up again. They wait for it to finish in that barrel, and then they have a group come in and do a pick, and that group that comes in and does the pick, they need to make a little bit of cash off their investment too, so the price yet again goes up. And then you're left with sometimes 4 to 6 year old whiskey that you're expected to pay $100 for because it was finished in something, picked by a different group, and it just doesn't work. You know, I would say again, similarly to earlier in the video, I think I shoot like maybe 25% with Nulu, where 25% of them, I think, hey, that's super good. I'm so glad I have that bottle. But the problem is the entry point, the price point that you need to shell out in order to get their product is so high because it has changed hands so many times that it is rarely good enough to justify the price tag for it. When you think about the fact that Eagle Rare is $35 MSRP, and I'm paying $100. Eagle Rare is 10-year-old bourbon, and I'm paying $100, more than twice as much, almost triple the price tag for 4 to 6 year old whiskey. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And so for me, Nulu is a hard pass now because I've bought 5 to 6 bottles of Nulu product, some of it from them, some of it right off the shelf at the liquor store, and some of it is barrel picks. A lot of it has been picks that groups have done. And I almost always regret it. So for that reason, I cannot recommend that you buy Nulu, personally. Now, I would love for any and all of these products to prove me wrong because I never cheer for anyone's failure. I want everything to succeed. So I would love for any of these products to bring it around full circle, redeem themselves, and bring forward a product that I can stand behind and recommend to people for sure. But for today's video, that has been my list of whiskeys I have regretted buying. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something new. If you disagree with me, please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Tell me, hey, you know what? I bought that bottle and I loved it, and here's why. Please share that with me. I would love to read that. Hey, big shout out to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support on the channel. Helps to fund the bottles that we buy and that we review here and justify the time that I spend making these videos. So thank you so much. You are my heroes. Be warm and well fed. Cheers. May you live richly and get better with age. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.